I never thought I'd be sharing this story, but here it is. I'm Nathan, and 3 years ago, my life completely unraveled because of a false accusation from my older brother Marcus. I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania with my parents, Robert, 55, and Diane, 53, and my brother Marcus, 29. Our home was a cozy two-bedroom house that my parents purchased right after getting married. It wasn't fancy, but it was where we belonged. My father worked as a high school science teacher, and my mother was a receptionist at the local medical center. We weren't wealthy, but my parents made sure we had everything we needed. Before we continue with today's story, if you're enjoying what you've heard so far, please hit that subscribe button. Every new subscriber helps me keep sharing these inspiring tales that touch your day. Thank you for your support. Growing up, Marcus and I were very close. We'd spend hours playing in the creek behind our house, building forts in the woods, and creating our own adventure games. Marcus was always the leader, creating the rules and storylines while I happily followed along. As we got older, things started to change between us. Marcus was always the high achiever, top of his class, president of the student council, and excelling at everything he tried. In comparison, I was more laid back. I did fine in school, but I never had the same drive that Marcus did. By the time we reached our teenage years, this difference had created a distance between us. Marcus left for college on a full scholarship to a prestigious university, while I stayed in our hometown and attended the local community college. I wasn't sure what career path I wanted to follow, so I took various classes trying to figure it out. After college, Marcus moved to Chicago and began working for a major accounting firm. He'd come home during holidays and weekends with stories about his exciting life and successful career. I couldn't help feeling inadequate in comparison. I was still living at home, working part-time at the local hardware store while trying to figure out my next move. Despite our differences, I always thought Marcus and I were okay. We weren't as close as we once were, but I chalked it up to growing older and having different lives. I had no idea how quickly things would fall apart. 3 years ago, Marcus and his girlfriend Emily, 30, got engaged. They had been dating for 2 years, and everyone was thrilled. My parents adored Emily, a doctor from a well-respected family. Marcus proposed with a beautiful sapphire ring that had belonged to Emily's grandmother. Emily was ecstatic and couldn't stop showing it to everyone. The engagement celebration was a big event. My parents invited the whole town to celebrate with us. I remember feeling somewhat out of place among the sophisticated guests Marcus and Emily had invited from the city. I stuck close to my old high school friends who were still in town, feeling more comfortable with them than with Marcus's well-dressed city friends. A month after the engagement, everything fell apart. It was a Friday afternoon, and I had the day off from work. I was in my room working on my photography hobby when Marcus came home for a weekend visit to discuss wedding plans with our mother. He and Emily were planning to get married in our hometown church. I heard Marcus and Mom return from lunch, chatting happily downstairs. I didn't think much of it and went back to organizing my photos. About an hour later, I heard Marcus shouting. When I rushed downstairs to see what was happening, he accused me of stealing Emily's engagement ring. He explained that Emily had taken it off while helping with dishes and placed it on the windowsill above the kitchen sink. When she went back to get it, it was gone. I was shocked and immediately denied taking it, but Marcus wouldn't listen. He kept shouting that I was the only other person in the house, so it must have been me. He said I was always jealous of his success and probably wanted to sell the ring to finally move out and do something with my life. Our parents came home during the commotion, and Marcus told them his version of events. To my horror, they completely believed him. My mother started crying, asking how I could do such a thing to my own brother. My father just looked at me with disappointment in his eyes. They began searching my room, turning everything upside down. They didn't find the ring, but they did find some money I had saved from working at the hardware store. It wasn't much, maybe a few $100s, but Marcus immediately jumped on it, saying I must have sold the ring, and that was where the money came from. I tried to explain that I had been saving for months because I was thinking about taking a photography course at the community college, but no one listened to me. The next few days were a nightmare. My parents and Marcus kept pressuring me to confess and return the ring. They threatened to call the police if I didn't come clean. I was terrified and felt completely alone. No one in my family believed me, and I was treated like a criminal in my own home. I tried calling some of my friends, but most of them had moved away after high school. The few who remained in town seemed unwilling to get involved in family drama. I felt more alone than ever. After a week of constant accusations and threats, my parents made a decision that changed my life forever. They told me I needed to leave. They said they couldn't trust me anymore and that I was bringing shame to the family. They gave me 2 days to pack my belongings and go. I was devastated. I had nowhere to go and no idea what to do. My high school friend Alex, 26, who had recently returned to town after finishing college, offered to let me stay on his couch for a while, but I knew I couldn't stay long. His apartment was small, and he was just getting established in his new job. I packed everything I could into a backpack and an old duffel bag: clothes, books, my laptop, my camera, and a few mementos from happier times. As I was leaving, I saw Marcus watching me from his old bedroom window. I thought I saw a flicker of doubt in his eyes, but he quickly turned away. Walking out of that house, the only home I'd ever known, was the hardest thing I'd ever done. I felt betrayed and abandoned by the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. The worst part was that I had done nothing wrong. I spent the next 2 months alternating between Alex's couch and cheap motels when I could afford them. I took any odd job I could find to make ends meet. I worked as a dishwasher, dog walker, and even spent a few weeks at a landscaping company. It was hard, but I was determined to prove my innocence and succeed on my own. Eventually, I secured a steady job at a printing company on the outskirts of town. The job was challenging, the hours were long, but the pay was consistent. It wasn't great money, but it allowed me to rent a modest room in a shared house with other young workers. I slowly tried to rebuild my life, but the pain of what had happened stayed with me. I would lie awake at night replaying the events in my mind and wondering how things had gone so wrong. How could my family have turned on me so quickly? How could Marcus, who had grown up with me and knew me better than anyone, think I would do such a thing? I cut off all contact with my family. They tried calling me multiple times in the beginning. My mother would leave emotional voicemails urging me to come home and make things right. My father sent a few short text messages saying we needed to talk. Marcus even came to the printing shop once, but I refused to see him. I couldn't bear to talk to them after what they had done. They were no longer my family. I lived like this for 3 years. I met new people at work and in my shared house. We would hang out after shifts, watching sports and playing video games. It wasn't the life I had imagined for myself, but it was mine, and I had built it from scratch. I worked hard and was eventually promoted to design assistant at the printing company. I started taking online courses in graphic design. I was slowly figuring out what I wanted to do with my life, but there was always a part of me that was angry and hurt by what had happened. I missed my old life and family, but I couldn't forgive them for not believing in me. Every holiday season was difficult. When I saw families shopping together or heard Christmas music, I felt sad about what I had lost. Then last week, I received an unexpected email from my dad. The subject line simply read, "We need to talk." The message was brief, explaining that they needed to meet with me urgently and that it was about the ring incident. At first, I was tempted to ignore it, just like I had with all their previous attempts to contact me. But something made me hesitate. Maybe it was curiosity, or perhaps a small part of me still wanted resolution. After hours of wrestling with myself, I finally decided to hear them out. I called my father, and what he told me was shocking. The ring had been found. Emily had accidentally knocked it into the bathroom sink drain while washing her hands. They only realized this a few days ago when the sink started backing up, and they called a plumber to check it out. My father said Marcus was devastated when he realized what had happened and that I had been telling the truth all along. He explained that they all felt terrible about what they had done to me and wanted to make things right. I hung up the phone feeling a mix of emotions. On one hand, I felt vindicated. I had always told the truth, and now everyone knew it. But I was also angry. I was furious that it had taken 3 years to discover the truth, that I had lost so much time with my family, and that I had struggled alone for so long when I had done nothing wrong. Now I'm at a crossroads. My family wants me to come back home. They say they want to make things right. Marcus has been calling and texting nonstop, begging for forgiveness, but I'm not sure I can forgive them. They threw me out without hesitation, assumed the worst of me, and left me to fend for myself for 3 years. Part of me wants to tell them all to go to hell and let them live with the guilt of what they did to me. But another part of me misses my old life and wonders if there's any chance to rebuild what we've lost. Update 1. It's been a week since my last post, and a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone for their advice and support. It really helped me process my emotions and decide what to do. After much thought, I decided to meet with my family. I felt I owed it to myself to confront them and get closure, even if I wasn't sure about reconciliation. We arranged to meet at a neutral location, a small cafe in the next town over. I chose it because it was far enough from our hometown that we wouldn't run into anyone we knew, but close enough that everyone could get there easily. I was extremely nervous on the day of the meeting. I hadn't seen my family in 3 years and wasn't sure what to expect. I arrived at the cafe early and chose a table in the corner where we could have some privacy. When they walked in, it was like a punch to the gut. Seeing them after 3 years was intense. My mother burst into tears as soon as she saw me. She looked older than I remembered, with more gray in her hair and lines around her eyes. My father looked tired and worn, his shoulders slumped as if carrying a heavy burden. Marcus couldn't meet my eyes at first. He seemed smaller and less confident than the brother I remembered. We sat down, and for a while, no one knew what to say. Then they all started talking at once, apologies tumbling out. My parents said they had failed as parents by not trusting me and kicking me out. They said they had regretted their decision every day since, but pride and shame had kept them from reaching out sooner. My father, who had always been a man of few words, spent almost an hour talking about how he had replayed those days in his mind, trying to figure out how he could have been so blind. He said he had always prided himself on being fair and logical, but emotion had clouded his judgment when it mattered most. My mother told me through tears how she had kept my room exactly as I had left it, hoping that one day I would return. She said she would wake up in the middle of the night, thinking she heard me come home, only to remember what had happened. Marcus broke down crying, saying he would never forgive himself for accusing me and ruining our relationship. He admitted that he had always looked up to me when we were kids, even though I was younger. He said he had become so caught up in his own life and problems that he had lost sight of what really mattered. As they spoke, memories from our childhood came flooding back. I remembered how Marcus stood up for me when I was bullied in middle school. I thought of all the times we'd laughed together, shared secrets, and supported each other through tough times. It made the pain of betrayal even worse, but it also reminded me of the good times we had shared. I listened to what they said, but I couldn't bring myself to forgive them right away. The hurt and anger from the past 3 years were too raw. I told them I needed time to process everything. They seemed to understand and didn't push for more. My mother tried to hug me before we left, but I stepped back. I wasn't ready for that kind of closeness yet. The hurt look on her face almost made me reconsider, but I stood firm. I needed to protect myself emotionally. After the meeting, I went back to my apartment and really thought about what I wanted. Did I want to go back to my old life? Could I ever trust them again? Was it worth trying to repair our relationship? I realized that while I missed having a family, I had also grown tremendously over the past 3 years. I had become self-reliant, strong, and had built a life for myself from scratch. I wasn't the same person they had kicked out 3 years ago. I thought about my job at the printing company, my online education, and the people I had met. I had worked hard to get where I was, and I felt proud of what I had accomplished on my own. The idea of giving that up and going back to my old life felt wrong. At the same time, I couldn't deny that seeing my family brought up a lot of emotions. Despite everything, I still loved and missed them. I wondered if I could have a relationship with them while maintaining my independence. After a few days of reflection, I made a decision. I called my parents and told them that while I appreciated their apology, I wasn't ready to fully reconcile. I told them I needed more time and space to heal. I also set some boundaries. I said I was willing to maintain limited contact with them, but I wasn't moving back home or pretending nothing happened. I told them that if we were to have a relationship going forward, it would have to be on my terms. They were disappointed but said they understood. They agreed to respect my boundaries and give me the time I needed. My mother asked if she could call me once a week to check in, and I agreed, thinking it would be a good way to slowly rebuild trust. As for Marcus, I've chosen to keep my distance for now. His actions had the most direct impact on me, and I wasn't ready to forgive him yet. I told him I needed more time before I could consider having a relationship with him again. He was upset, but said he understood and would wait until I was ready. It's been a difficult week with many emotional ups and downs. I've had moments where I questioned my decision, wondering if I'm being too harsh or if I'm giving up an opportunity to reconnect with my family. But then I remember how quickly they turned against me, and I know I'm doing the right thing by taking it slow. I've also been looking into therapy options. Many of you suggested it in the comments, and I think it would be helpful to talk to a professional while navigating this complicated situation. I've never been to therapy before, so I'm nervous, but I think it will be good for me. For now, my main focus is on my career and education. I have a big project coming up at work, and I'm determined not to let all this family drama distract me from my goals. I'm also thinking about moving to a better apartment. I've been saving, and I think I'm ready for my own place without roommates. Thank you for your continued support. It's comforting to know there are people out there who understand and care, even if we've never met. I'll provide an update if anything significant changes. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and I'd like to share some developments. I've been sticking to the boundaries I set with my family. We've had a few phone calls and text messages, but nothing too intense. It's been okay, awkward at times, but not as painful as I expected. My parents have mostly respected my wishes. They check in occasionally, but they never ask for more than I'm willing to give. I can tell they're trying hard to rebuild trust, but it's a slow process. My mother calls once a week as agreed. These calls were difficult at first, with a lot of uncomfortable silences, but they're getting easier. We usually talk about neutral topics like her work at the medical center, the weather, and my online design courses. It's not much, but it's a start. My father has been sending me short emails, usually just checking in or sharing something he thinks I might find interesting. Last week, he forwarded me an article about a new design studio opening in our town. It was a small gesture, but it reminded me of how he used to clip newspaper articles for me when I was younger. Marcus has struggled with the boundary I set between us. When we were growing up, he was used to getting his way. He sent me several long, emotional texts apologizing and begging for a chance to make things right. I've responded simply, saying I need more time. It's difficult, but I'm standing firm. I know he's hurting, but I'm not ready to deal with his emotions on top of my own. The big news is that I've started therapy. I found a counselor who specializes in family trauma, and we've had a few sessions so far. It's been challenging to bring up all the old pain, but I think it's helping. My therapist is helping me work through my anger and trust issues, as well as teaching me how to set healthy boundaries. In our most recent session, we talked about how the incident with the ring represented more than just an accusation, but also years of feeling like I didn't measure up to Marcus's achievements. It's made me realize that there were issues in our family dynamic long before the ring incident, and that healing will involve addressing those as well. One unexpected outcome of all this is that I've grown closer to my friends, especially Alex. They've been incredibly supportive throughout this journey. Alex even offered to come with me to future family gatherings as moral support. It's taught me that family is more than just blood. It's about who stands by you when things get tough. Work has been a welcome distraction. I've thrown myself into my job and even received a small promotion. I'm now handling client design consultations for my shift, which means more responsibility and a slight pay increase. It's good to have something positive to focus on. In terms of living situation, I've decided to stay where I am for the time being. It's not much, but it's mine and represents the independence I've worked so hard for. My parents offered to help me find a better place, but I declined. I need to do this on my own. However, I have started seriously exploring options for furthering my education. A state university about an hour away offers evening classes in graphic design. I'm considering applying to their program. It would be a big step, but I think I'm ready for it. Overall, I'm taking things one day at a time. Some days are better than others. There are times when I miss the easy connection we had as a family, but then I remember how quickly they turned on me and know I can't rush this. My therapist says it's healthy to have mixed feelings about everything. She tells me to be patient with myself and not feel pressured to forgive before I'm ready. We're working on strategies for dealing with upcoming family gatherings and holidays, which are making me more anxious than I'd like to admit. For now, my top priorities are healing and building a life I can be proud of, whether with or without my family. It's not easy, but I'm hopeful about the future. I'm learning that it's okay to put myself first, and that setting boundaries doesn't make me a bad person. Thank you for your continued support. Your comments and messages have given me strength during this process. It's good to know I'm not alone in dealing with family issues like these. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my original post, so I thought it was time for a final update. A lot has changed over the past few months. The biggest news is that I've decided to move to a different city to pursue a new job opportunity. It's a major step up in my career, and I'm excited about the new possibilities. The job is with a digital marketing agency, and the responsibilities are similar to what I was doing at the printing company, but on a much larger scale. It's a design position that I've been working toward for a while. The salary is significantly better than what I was making before, plus it includes benefits like health insurance and a retirement plan. Before making this decision, I had a long talk with my therapist. We discussed how this move will affect my healing process and my relationship with my family. In the end, we agreed that this could be a positive thing for me, a chance to truly stand on my own 2 feet and establish myself outside of the family drama. I told my parents about the move last week. They were surprised and sad, but expressed their understanding. My mother cried a little, saying she had hoped we'd have more time to repair our relationship before I left. My father was more stoic, but I could tell he was disappointed too. They were both concerned about me being alone in a new environment, but I assured them I would be fine. Marcus took it the hardest. After I told him, he showed up unannounced at my apartment, pleading with me not to go. He said he felt like he was losing me all over again. It was a difficult conversation, but I held my ground. I told him I needed to do this for myself, and that our relationship wasn't at a point where his opinion could influence my decision. Our relationship has improved, but it's far from perfect. We've had a few family dinners in recent months. They've been awkward at times, but we're slowly getting used to being around each other again. Trust remains a major issue. I sometimes question their motives, wondering if they truly mean what they say or if they're just trying to ease their guilt. My therapist has been invaluable throughout this. She's helped me understand my feelings and set boundaries. She has told me that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or pretending the hurt never happened. It's about letting go of my anger so I can find peace. I've taken that to heart. While I don't think I'll ever forget what happened, I am working on forgiving my family, not for their sake, but for mine. It was exhausting to hold on to all that anger and resentment, and I'm ready to let it go. As I prepare for this move, I've been reflecting on everything that's happened. 3 years ago, I thought my life was over. I had lost everything, including the people I cared about most. But now I realize how much I've gained from that experience. I'm stronger, more independent, and have a better understanding of my own worth than I ever did before. I'm not sure what the future holds for me and my family. We plan to stay in touch after I move, with weekly phone calls and visits during holidays. It's a beginning. Maybe with time and distance, we can build something new. For now, my focus is on the future. I'm excited about my new job, the new city, and the opportunities that await me. I've started looking at apartments online and researching the area where I'll be living. It's a mixture of nervousness and excitement, but mostly I'm looking forward to this new chapter in my life. Whatever happens with my family, I know I'll be okay. I've proven to myself that I can handle whatever life throws at me, and I've learned the importance of surrounding myself with people who believe in and support me, whether they're related to me or not.